The house on Alderwood Hill was worth more than most people's dreams, a glass and stone monument to Victor Hale's rise from nothing to everything, and yet every night it echoed with a loneliness money could not soften. After his wife's sudden death, Victor buried himself in acquisitions and boardrooms while his infant son, Oliver, grew under the care of strangers, and when the third nanny quit in 6 months with a vague excuse about the atmosphere, Victor's confidence in people curdled into suspicion, so he did what he had learned to do best, control the variables, quietly installing discreet cameras in common areas under the guise of home security, telling himself it was for Oliver's safety, that a father had a right to know who raised his child, and when Lena arrived, a soft-spoken woman with a gentle laugh and a resume that spoke of patience rather than prestige, Victor felt a strange prickle of relief quickly smothered by distrust. He watched from his phone between meetings as Lena sang to Oliver while warming bottles, as she knelt on the floor to meet him eye to eye, as she narrated the world in simple words, and Victor scoffed at how easy it was to perform kindness when one thought no one was watching. But then the footage changed him, frame by frame, day by day, until the men who installed cameras to spy began to feel as though the cameras were exposing him instead. He saw Lena arrive early and leave late without logging overtime, saw her fold laundry with care, labeling tiny socks so nothing went missing, saw her research developmental games on her own time, turning the living room into a landscape of wonder, and still Victor told himself this was competence, not character, until the night Oliver spiked a fever and Victor, trapped on a red-eye between cities, checked the feed in irritation only to find Lena pacing the nursery at 3 a.m., pressing a cool cloth to the child's brow, whispering reassurances with a steadiness that belied exhaustion, calling the pediatrician and refusing to panic, and when Oliver cried for "Dada," Victor felt a blade of shame twist inside him as Lena soothed the baby without a hint of resentment, promising he was loved and safe, promising Daddy would be home soon, and Victor watched the clock until dawn as if repentance could be scheduled. The next weeks deepened the fracture in his certainty as he saw Lena take Oliver to the park and kneel to explain fallen leaves, saw her redirect tantrums into curiosity, saw her read aloud not because it was required but because Oliver's eyes lit up at the sound of stories, and when Victor overheard her practicing English lullabies to help Oliver's speech, he realized she was investing parts of herself he had never offered. The cameras caught moments that were never meant for applause, Lena crying quietly in the kitchen after a call from home, wiping her tears before returning with a smile, Lena teaching Oliver to say please by modeling it herself, Lena setting aside money from her modest pay to buy a small book Oliver loved because it was out of stock online, and Victor, who had always measured value in margins and multiples, found his metrics failing. Then came the incident that shattered him, a late afternoon when Victor, home early but unseen, watched the feed out of habit as Lena knelt on the floor and coaxed Oliver to take his first steps, arms open, voice trembling with hope, and when the child wobbled and fell she did not rush to lift him but encouraged him to try again, teaching resilience in a way no spreadsheet ever could, and when Oliver finally toddled forward, laughter bursting free, Lena clapped and cried and pulled him into a hug, whispering, "You did it, my brave boy." And in the doorway of the feed Victor saw himself reflected not as the triumphant provider he imagined but as a ghost hovering at the edges of his own life. The truth hit him with a force that knocked the breath from his chest. He had outsourced presence, replaced love with surveillance, and the woman he suspected had given his son what he could not buy. That night Victor sat alone in the dark living room and replayed the footage not as evidence but as confession, each clip a mirror, and he understood that the cameras had captured something rarer than betrayal, devotion, and that his wealth had insulated him from humility, not pain. The next morning he did something unprecedented. He removed the cameras, every last one, placing them in a box like relics of a lesser man, and when Lena arrived he met her at the door, halting and human, and told her the truth without excuses, expecting anger or resignation. But Lena listened quietly, eyes steady, and said only that children need trust to thrive, that love grows best when it's not measured, and Victor felt the last of his defenses crumble. He apologized not as a CEO but as a father, asked her to stay not because he needed her but because Oliver did, and promised to change, to be present, to earn the moments he had been watching from afar. From that day Victor rearranged his empire around a small schedule, breakfast stories, park walks, bedtime songs, and he learned to sit on the floor, to let silence teach him, to accept that the richest returns were laughter and scraped knees kissed better, and as months passed the house lost its echo and gained a heartbeat. When Victor eventually told this story, He didn't frame it as a cautionary tale about nannies or technology, but as a confession about how easy it is to mistake control for care and how devastatingly beautiful it is to be proven wrong. And if this story moved you, if it reminded you that the greatest transformations happen when we choose trust over fear, then stay with us, subscribe to the channel, because stories like this are not just meant to be watched, they're meant to change us, one honest moment at a time.